Welcome into the Birds of the Roundtable Training Camp Edition. Last week we were to you guys on the eve of training camp. We're a week into training camp now, and we've got lots of things to talk about. I am your host, as always, Shane Half. Give me a follow on Twitter, Threads, YouTube at Shane Half NFL. Joined by the same group of guys that have been coming to you guys every Monday or Tuesday night. A little bit of flexibility there. For over a year now? Up to the top right here, we have my guy, Dibes. Give him a follow on Twitter at Mr. Crockpot. Dibes, how are you doing tonight?
Doing well, man. Lots to talk about tonight. We're going to do some buying, some selling on all the top storylines. Everything we have learned tonight through the first week of camp, man. Let's do this.
All right. Also joined by David. Give him a follow on Twitter at PHL Eagle News. Check out his written work at phillycovercorner.com. David, how are you doing tonight?
Doing well. How are you?
I'm doing good. Can't complain. Other than it's really, really hot today. But
it finally cooled down where I'm at. It's like 20 degrees cooler, so I'm finally happy.
Yeah,
we've been triple digits like 9 days in a row, and I was cleaning out a garage today. I ended up in an attic and then I went to the water park with the kids. So it's been a long heat-filled day, but I haven't had a heat stroke. If I just disappear during this podcast, you guys know what happened.
The podcast gets infinitely better. That's what happens.
Then you don't have a host. Then you don't have a host. A little behind the scenes for Birds of the Roundtable for the listeners out there. Every week we come on and Dive says, "So who's going to host tonight?" And everybody just kind of looks around, and eventually I'm like, I don't care. I'll host. It doesn't matter to me. So they would be lost without me. I'm the glue that holds this thing together is what I'm feeling here.
It's like, well, you're over there and I'm over here. So like you're in the host corner. That the top left there is the host corner. Naturally, Shane just gets the left corner every time.
That's what I get for popping into StreamYard first. So. Also joined by my new favorite guy on the podcast, since he's not the one talking trash to me here. It is Ryan Reese. Give him a follow on Twitter at Philly Sports PSA. Ryan, how are you doing tonight?
Oh, man, I am super pumped. We have a week into training camp. The Kelly Greens just came out. It's an exciting time, and football is back in 2 days, and for Eagles fans back in a little over a week. And this is great. Wonderful time to be a Birds fan.
Mark, thinking I'm already skipping to my next podcast. Ryan, I got to ask, how many Kelly Green jerseys do you have on the way?
So total, I have 4. 3 for myself. I bought 1 for my son. I may or may not have bought a couple of jerseys for me and my son. I may or not have bought some jackets or hats or other stuff. Basically, I spent way too much money, as I always do, and half of it's coming in like a month anyway. So whatever.
I only have 1 Eagles jersey. I've only ever bought 1 jersey, and I definitely bought it from China for like $22, and it was terrible quality, and I'm not going to tell you who the jersey is of because that's embarrassing. So let's go down to our first question here for training camp. Our first question is about Cam Jurgens. So he has opened up camp as the first team right guard for the first 3 days of training camp. Are you buying or selling that he will remain the starting right guard moving forward? Dibes, I'll throw this one to you first.
Absolutely buying, guys. You guys know my stance on this, man. This is not the first time this dude has changed positions. He went to Nebraska as a tight end. He transitioned to center. He's been really good at camp so far through the first week. He's reportedly held his own against Jalen Carter and Fletcher Cox. Just also kind of want to give a big shout out to Fletcher Cox because reportedly Cox has been a guy that's been mentoring him just a little bit. So that's been really cool. I didn't kind of expect that dynamic whatsoever here in 2023 training camp, but big time buying. Cam Jurgens is the guy.
All right. So we've got a huge affirmation there by Dibes for Cam Jurgens. David, what about you?
Buying, same thing. It doesn't even appear as if it was much of a camp battle to begin with. He's started every single rep there. I think that Steen had a couple reps beside Lane, but he really hasn't done much other than that. During an interview with Cam earlier this afternoon, he was asked if he ever thought he was going to play right guard in the NFL, and he said he never even thought he was going to play O-line in college either, that he doesn't look at himself as what position he's going to play. He just looks at himself as a football player. So he's ready to do whatever they ever ask. So he seems pretty acclimated to it. He seems pretty happy with it. He said his weight's up a little bit. He said that his diet includes eating anything he wants. So he said whatever tastes good, to be exact.
Wouldn't
But,
that be
yeah, I think it's his job going forward. I think he'd really have to make a mistake down the road here to lose that.
All right. So 2 for 2. Ryan, are you joining the crowd here? Is
Yeah.
Cam Jurgens a starting right guard?
Absolutely, he is. Yeah, I mean, we all knew that going into camp, he was most likely going to be the heavy favorite here. Just again being in the system, from last year. But yeah, he's really taken it, and it seems everything that you read and you see that he's really taken this position. And again, this has no kind of bearing on Steen. He's a rookie. He's learning the NFL. He's learning the Eagles. He's learning this playbook. But yeah, I mean, obviously Cam has a huge leg up, and he's already leaning on that experience. And yeah, I think also what Dive said is he the Cox thing, I think is incredibly important to hear that. The fact that I think, you're getting, different perspectives. Obviously, he's constantly talking with Kelsey and some of the other offensive line mates, but to kind of learn, more on the defensive side of the ball, how they see things, that's only going to help him. And yeah, I can't wait, because I honestly think he's just going to be, once he's there, and he's going to be the man.
All right, and I'm with you guys. I am buying stock. I'm buying the stock as it's already gone up, so I missed the train. I was big on board the Tyler Steen right guard train, but it definitely appears for now that Cam Jurgens is going to be the guy. I am interested to see how they handle preseason. Obviously, Kelsey's not going to play, but you've got to think that Jurgens, you're going to play him at right guard if that's where you're going to play him during the season. I'll be interested if they try to get him any center reps as well in preseason, though.
And apparently, Brett Toth has been really struggling there as the number 2 center. So that's definitely something to watch.
Yeah, I mean, if, heaven forbid, something happened to Jason Kelsey, there's no doubt in my mind that Cam Jurgens becomes the center immediately.
Period.
Agreed.
Yep.
Okay, let's go on to our next question here. DeAndre Swift has shown some flashes at camp, especially as a receiver. So DeAndre Swift's 2023 reception total will finish among the top 5 Eagles running backs since the year 2000. Are you buying or selling that? Now, for reference, last year Miles Sanders led the team with 20 receptions as running back targets. The top 5, 90 receptions from Westbrook in 2007, 78 receptions from Shady McCoy in 2010. There were 77 from Westbrook in 2006, 73 from Westbrook in 2003. Westbrook was an amazing PPR guy back then, by the way. And then 63 receptions from Deuce in 2001. And you can see the rest of the list there as well. So are you buying or selling that DeAndre Swift will be in the top 5? So he's got to have 63 or more receptions. David, I'll throw it to you first.
I'm selling. I do think he's going to get some totals. I think he might even get up to 50, but I don't see over 63. The one training camp I watched, he was targeted pretty often in it, and through that practice, which was the second practice, he had, I think it was 5 targets and 5 catches, and only Goddard had more targets in the passing game up to that point. So they're really utilizing him. So I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't get up to 50, but Gainwell might chip away a little bit at that. They've even thrown a couple pennies way. So I think everybody's getting involved because they're not just using them in the screen, they're using them on routes. So, but I still think it's 50. I still think he's going to be impressive in that role, but over 63, that's too high for me to go.
All right. Ryan, what about you?
Yeah, I'm selling this one too. Just like you said, I mean, there's you don't know how Swift is truly going to be in this game. Like, it seems like they're going to try and timeshare between Penny and Gainwell. And so that's going to cut down. And you're also, let's remember what offense this running back is on. You have A.J. Brown. You have Devontae Smith. You have Dallas Goedert. You have other people that are going to eat for sure. So to expect Swift to try and get over 60, 63, whatever the number is, I just think it's a little far-fetched. I think you will see a lot more, receptions from the running back than we did last season in Swift, but it's not going to come top 5. And honestly, I don't even know if it comes top 10.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm selling this one as well. I think, you think about the screen game. You want to run the screen game to Devonta Smith, to Dallas Goedert. They're so good in that. You don't want to be running a lot of running back screens. Do you want to design a lot of routes for running backs when you've got A.J. Brown, Dallas Goedert, Devonta Smith? I don't think you do. And so I think his biggest assets as a pass catcher, it's going to be in those check down situations, which to be determined if Hurts takes those check downs. Mobile quarterbacks don't a lot of times. And then when you motion out to empty, which is typically done to isolate Devonta Smith in the slot, but if the running back gives you something as a route runner, that's obviously great. And so we'll see that. But I'm selling this one. I don't think he comes anywhere near that top 5.
It's a straight sweep. I also think, straight sell here. Obviously, the first thing, to reach those numbers, DeAndre Swift has to overcome his injury history. There's a guy who's missed at minimum 3 games each season in his career. Battling it out, Kenny Gainwell there as like the top receiving threat, which I think is very realistic he could do. But I think it's important to note that a lot of the Eagles running backs kind of had a fair share of touches throughout camp. And I think, beyond staying healthy, I think this is a smart move for the Eagles to have kind of a balanced attack, running back by committee season, more so than last year, kind of to keep the touches down for DeAndre Swift, especially at the start of the season, keep him fresh by the final stretch of the season. So I'm selling. I think it's a little more than you, David. I think it's going to be in those like high 50s range, like mid 50, high 50s. But I expect that number. I expect the touches per game to ramp up, and this guy's going to be huge for them. I'm interested to see how Swift kind of changes Sirianni and his offensive game plan. That's going to be really interesting.
All right, so clean sweep on both so far. Let's see if we can shake it up here on number 3. Nakobe Dean, Jalen Carter, Nolan Smith, and Jordan Davis have all had solid moments throughout training camp. The foursome will have a combined 12 sacks during the 2023 season. Ryan, are you buying or selling that? And by the way, it doesn't have to be 12 on the dot. 12 or more sacks. You buying or selling that?
And I'm going to buy it. I'm buying it because I want it. I want it to happen. I want to believe, because if that happens, that to me just says that the last 2 years of drafting from Howie Roseman, he absolutely nailed it, just like we thought he did. And it's a culmination of what is to come for this team with this young core taking over. And if they get themselves 12 or more, yeah, it's over. This NFC is ours, honestly. I would be so excited. I'd be so happy that this core of young players that we have on this team is just ascending in the right direction. And yeah, I'm absolutely buying. I'm doubling down. I might.
All right. Well, I'll sell you my shares because I don't buy it. In 7 combined college football seasons, Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis combined for 15 sacks in 7 combined seasons. You just don't see rookie defensive tackles make that big of an impact in terms of sack totals. I think outside of Aaron Donald, the most by a rookie defensive tackle in the last 20 years was like 3.5. So that's Jalen Carter. I think he's going to be good. I just don't think he's going to rack up a lot of sacks. I don't think Nolan Smith is going to play a lot. Guys, do you know how many pass rushing snaps Jordan Davis had last year?
Not many.
5.
Yeah.
Jordan Davis isn't even going to be on the field on pass rushing downs more than likely. And so it comes down to Nakobe Dean. And he's not a rookie, but I'm going to call him a rookie linebacker. Is he going to come in and have a 10 sack season as a
11
linebacker? I don't see it, especially when your defensive front's so good. You're not going to blitz this guy that much. So I'm selling.
He's tiny. He's quick. You're not even gonna see him coming. He's
just gonna hide behind
He's
Jordan
gonna hide
Davis.
behind. Yeah, he's gonna hide behind Carter and Davis. He's gonna sneak right in between them, and boom, he's at the quarterback. 11 sacks. Boom. All we need is 2 more by the rest of those guys. We're good.
I remember growing up. There was a running back that played for OU named Quentin Griffin. In like the early 2000s. I don't know if you guys remember him. He made it to the NFL for the Broncos for like a couple years, but he got hurt and washed out of the league. But the dude was like 5'6", and that's what people always joked about. But it was hilarious when you would see. I mean, you think Deuce Vaughn. Like, I don't know if you've seen the videos of Deuce Vaughn at Cowboys training camp running around. That's what Quentin Griffin looked like, and he'd like go back to the huddle and come up to like below the chest of the offensive lineman. It was hilarious.
Darren Sproles, baby.
Yeah.
I'm buying. I'm with Ryan. For once, I'm not going to think with my head here. I'm going to go with my heart. The average age of that foursome is 22.2 years old. I mean, we can go on and on about who's replacing Hargraves' as snap count and all that kind of stuff. But I'm going to drink the Kool-Aid here, and I think Carter's going to have a great year. I think Nakobe Dean, the last time he got extensive snaps at Georgia, the dude was making plays in the backfield, getting sack totals. I agree, Shane. I don't expect a lot from Jordan Davis. If this was a tackles for loss buy or sell, I think we'd probably be a little bit of a different tune, but because I would go the over big time. But I even Nolan Smith, who is a guy I'm really excited about, has shown up to be obviously extremely athletic at camp and making some noise. I think this is an easy buy, and I'm there's my homer take.
All right, David, what about you?
I'm buying. I have Nolan with 7 sacks alone. I did that on our first episode. I still believe he's going to have 7 sacks. I think I picked Carter over 5. So I think those two hit 12 just by themselves. Again, I have no idea where Nolan's getting the playing time. I don't know how they're going to get him and Reddick on the time. But, yeah, I'm buying it. Maybe I'm delusional. I have no idea, but we'll find out in a few weeks. But I'm more sure of that than anything else we're going to discuss tonight.
Oh, wow.
All right. I'm on an island on that one.
Yeah.
Let's go on to another one here. So Quez Watkins has had some strong moments at camp so far, both getting up the field and making plays in traffic. So Quez Watkins will be the number 3 starting wide receiver after Eagles training camp. Are you buying or selling? And I hate that my turn to go first is on a question about Quez Watkins. I think as down as I was on Quez last year, as many times as I said, I don't ever want to see him on a football field again. And the tweets are there. You can search them. The reality is I went into last season excited about Quez because I thought in 2021 he showed explosiveness. He showed things on tape. And the explosiveness is still there in 2022, but the mental mistakes were atrocious. He obviously looks like he's the front runner for the wide receiver 3 job, which is, I think, kind of what we expected, although I wish it was Olamide Zaccheaus. I'm buying that Quez Watkins will be the number 3 wide receiver. Hopefully he can get back to some of those flashes he showed in 2021.
Yeah,
Dibs, what about you?
I'm buying this. I think that this is pretty much solidified. It's been really interesting, too, because like all like mini camp and the off season and now like they've been the media, whether it's the media or the team, it seems like they've been pumping this guy up like crazy. And even at camp, this guy, Quez Watkins, is calling himself elite, saying, things like that, like the confidence, the swagger, the moxie. I hope he can back it up.
Delusion.
It is what it is, man. Because I think he had a pretty good camp last year as well. It just didn't translate. So for me, I am tentatively buying. I don't know how much I want to, though. I'm just going to leave it at that because I'm rooting for the kid, man. This is a huge year for Quez Watkins. Yeah, he just turned 25 years old. He's heading into free agency. Obviously, you have the Slim Reaper and free agency down the road, they're not going to. I guarantee you a team is going to give Quez Watkins more money than the Philadelphia Eagles will. So I don't expect Quez to stay at all. So I'm rooting for the kid to have a big year, a bounce back year in 2023. So I'm buying, but this one I'm not so sure about because the other guy I think might be more dependable.
All right, David, what about you?
I'm buying. I'm a pretty big fan of Quez. I think Sirianni played his hand with him perfect the whole offseason. He didn't give him tough love. He just nurtured him however he needed to be, told everybody what he thought Quez would want everybody to hear, and it seems to have motivated him. I'd looked up a couple stats prior to him last year because his 2021 season, when he had the 43 receptions and 647 yards, was incredible, especially taking into account where he was drafted. And when I looked up the numbers, it was the second most receptions and yards by anyone drafted in the 6th round or later in the last 40 years. I mean, that's just a huge return on investment. Howie loves that. The Eagles love that. And I think they're going to try to replicate that again. I think his injury last year that he suffered in late November really did affect him. I'm not saying it caused the late drops, but I do think it affected him, and I think it got into his head. And I think he's going to bounce back pretty well this year. I'm actually really rooting for him and looking forward to it. And I don't think anybody else on the roster can do what he does.
All right. Ryan, what about you?
Yeah, unfortunately, I think because really no other options are kind of fighting him so much, he's going to be the number 3. You know, we haven't really heard much from OZ in camp yet. I mean, you know, sometimes I like to almost not dive so deep into camp notes and whatnot, and just kind of get the sense of the names that are being talked about. And that I kind of get a sense of like, all right, these people are doing well, and these people are doing well. I haven't heard one thing about Zacchaeus at all, honestly. So that to me tells me a lot, and the fact that we are talking about Watkins tells me everything. But as you said, he had a great camp last year. Didn't translate. So
Yeah.
I think he'll start the season as the number 3. Whether he'll finish it, well, who knows?
Yeah, we did the whole great training camp thing with Jalen Reagor too. So
yeah,
I'm gonna tamper expectations because a fast guy is running fast with no pads on, but a fast guy that can't catch is running fast with no pads on. But we'll see. Fingers crossed for Quez Watkins. Moving on here. Here's the next one. Dives for you. Howie Roseman will make a trade during camp to bring in a linebacker to help Nakobe Dean. Are you buying or selling that?
So I hate that I'm going first with this one because I don't freaking know. Christian Ellis, like those guys with Nicholas Morrow, like those guys are all just guys. I think my gut tells me we could more likely see a move like come mid-season than now. I think it's more likely they bring someone in that's like disgruntled and gets cut or something along those lines rather than make a trade. So I'm going to say sell. I think they're definitely going to bring someone in without a doubt. But like the guys like Patrick Queen and stuff, hell yeah, I am down for that. But I don't necessarily know if it's going to be during or after camp.
All right. David, what do you think? Are the Eagles going to bring in linebacker help in camp?
No, I'm selling. No, I don't believe so. I think Dean and Ellis have played really well together. I think Ellis might even be the starter opposite Dean going into the season. I think they're pretty comfortable with Morrow as the backup. I think if they make a move during camp, it's probably going to be for a safety. But even after watching the safety play the past 5 days or whatever, I don't even know if they're wanting to do that at this point. But yeah, I'm selling. I think it's Dean and Ellis going into week 1.
All right, Ryan, what say you?
Well, I am going to harness the power of reverse psychology, and I'm gonna say I'm selling on this one. And I'm just gonna pray that I am dead wrong, and I will gladly. In fact, I'll help you set it up with the big X over my face for this one. I will take it on the chin for sure. No, I'm selling it because they don't make linebacker a priority. They just don't. Everybody, can connect the dots, and there's a couple of free agents out there that I would love for them to even just to bring in just to compete and see, but they're not going to do that either because that's just not how they view linebackers, unfortunately. So listen, if by some miracle, something happens and they're kind of forced to do it, maybe, but I don't see it happening. I could maybe see something happening during the season, maybe to bring in kind of a vet, decent name, but like nobody that you're gonna, jump around it for. It's just gonna be a guy. So yeah, I'm not expecting Jack, unfortunately.
All right, I pulled up my little OneNote tab and put in at 25 minutes on August 1st to go pull that clip if the Eagles do in fact trade for a linebacker. But I'm selling this one too for similar reasons. Really, it's because of the word trade. I think it's very possible the Eagles will add a linebacker as teams start cutting down because let's be honest, there's going to be a lot of linebackers cut that are better than the depth that the Eagles have. But the Eagles don't value the position enough, in my opinion, to go make a trade for a linebacker unless you're getting like to a trade deadline and it's just an active detriment to the team. And then you make a move if you think you're a Super Bowl team. I don't think they're making that move in training camp. So I am selling this one. Okay, rolling on to our next question. John McMullen of 93 or 97.3 ESPN yesterday reported that, quote, the Eagles think Keely Ringo is going to be the heir apparent to Darius Slay or James Bradbury as a starting outside corner. David, are you buying or selling that?
Buying it, yes. And when we did our roster projections, I guess, 3 weeks ago? Somehow we ended up with 7 corners on our 53-man roster. Mm-hmm. And probably was only going to be 6. But if Keely can prove that he's competent enough in that role to play outside, that makes Greedy expendable, whether he's cut, whether he's traded. They haven't had anybody homegrown to work in that capacity in quite a while. I think, it's advantageous for him to be able to do that from a financial standpoint and from the resources that they use trading up to get him. And he's looked well. Everybody seems to be raving about him. They're happy with where he's at so far. So I'm buying.
All right, Ryan, how about you?
I guess the question is, do they think that? Yeah, they probably do. Do I think that? Listen, no, not at this point. I would, again, this is one of those, I'd love to be wrong, but this guy's a rookie. He fell well into the draft for reasons. And, while they do have a very good, corner room and there's a lot of competition, but there's also a lot of competition. So he's going to need to, from the jump, come out and show why he belongs to be on this team. And listen, I think it's a hard, a battle that, uphill battle that he's going to have to face here. But, to say that he's an heir apparent to 2 all-pro, top 100 type, corners in the NFL, that's just a little too high praise for a guy who slipped, few rounds in the NFL draft and hasn't played, it just had 1 practice with pads on today.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm with Ryan. I buy that they think that.
Yeah.
I sell that that's the reality. And I had Keely Ringo as a first-round pick. He was the number 24 player on my board. But let's be honest, the hit rate on late first-round cornerbacks, which is where I had him ranked, is not high. And he turned out to be a 4th-round cornerback. He's definitely going to be on the outside because he changes direction slower than my minivan. So he's not going to be in the slot. But he's got elite straight line speed, athleticism. It's nice that he does not get thrown in right now and he can learn behind those guys. It gives him a leg up. And so I'm hopeful that he will develop into a good player for the Eagles. I don't have expectation that any cornerback in a draft is going to turn out to be Darius Slay. So I'm selling this one.
If you were to make a short list of players that I'm going to be watching most heavily throughout the preseason, it's Keely Ringo. Like you said, Shane, how he changes directions, how he potentially moves to safety as like a star or a hybrid safety role moving forward. We don't know. I've watched a lot of Keely Ringo at Georgia. There's simply not enough evidence to suggest what he can do moving to a different position. I'm with Shane. I'm with you guys. I sell this. I'm hopeful that Keely Ringo, you look at the size, you look at the length, you look at the straight line speed, it's all there. But we're not even remotely close to making these kind of assumptions. And I think it's just discredit to how dominant D. Slay and James Bradbury were last year and the years before that. So I think there's more of a chance that, honestly, that Ringo could translate to safety than be a starting outside corner down the road, because I don't necessarily buy that he's even a starting outside corner yet. So I think the level, the unknown is sexier to me than what he provides on the outside at this point.
Yeah, I remember that was one of the most validating things ever, was after I watched Keely Ringo film and we did our defensive back rankings for Edge Philly Sports, BGN Radio. We were on there, and I said, watching Keely Ringo, I couldn't help but think that he might have been playing the wrong position, which just sounds arrogant for me, a guy that's watching film, to say about Georgia, who's had a great defense. I think they might have misused this guy. But for Mark and Dibes, instantly be like, that's kind of the vibe I got too. Like, I thought I was crazy, and then they signed off on it. So I'm all aboard the Keely Ringo at safety thing.
Like, you look at, obviously, Avonte Maddox recovering from injury, and we've seen a lot of McPherson in the slot. Like, wouldn't it be stupid on the Eagles' part to not even think about trying it out this preseason, this training camp? Like, let's see what he's got. Like, I agree, Shane, it probably won't work out in the slot, but like in the box, letting his kind of athleticism shine. I think you kind of allow Sidney Brown's athleticism to shine there in a box safety role too. Like, I think it's worth trying out. Like, let's not fall into that. I don't want to make this show about Doc Rivers like I always do. But like, this training camp should be all about experimentation and seeing what works, what doesn't. Like I said, I have more confidence in the unknown with Keely Ringo, because I think he's moldable. And you look at this defense and how young they are, and you have a new defensive coordinator. Why the hell not? Yeah. To circle back,
I'm the only one buying, and I had him ranked as a third round corner. I had him like the 7th or 8th overall corner coming out of the draft for the very reasons y'all are mentioning now. But I do think he was drafted to be the heir apparent. But again, that's a tricky word, because that could be 2 or 3 years down the road. I'm not suggesting he's doing it anytime this year and maybe not next year, but I do think it's the long-term plan.
I think he was drafted to be the heir apparent. I just don't. I'm selling the fact that he turns out to be like, an all-pro type player. So got a comment here coming in on YouTube. What's up with Marcus Mariota throwing all these picks? Is it time to bring in Wentz? Just kidding. But I think we should look into getting a better backup quarterback. I mean, the Eagles paid Mariota like $5 million a year. He's their backup.
Yeah, he has 100%.
I obviously, I'm not there watching training camp, but I can only imagine the mismatch that is the second team defensive line against the second team offensive line being a huge portion. Now, I'm not seeing it. David, maybe you can back that up or talk about that a little bit, but I am never concerned about a quarterback throwing interceptions in training camp. I don't care at all.
No, he's playing with mainly the twos, and not just the D line, but the corners like Greedy and Keely and those. They're so much better than the next level receivers they're going against as well, such as Oz and Rambo, and so. And like Doug said earlier, they're trying a lot of new things as well. I mean, I wouldn't put much worry into that at this point. He runs the offense very similarly to Jalen. They haven't had to change the playbook like they did last season, and that's the most important thing in my opinion going forward with it.
And defense is always a step or two ahead of the offense at this point. Like, that's always the case. And zero panic. Okay.
All right. Let's keep rolling here. Second to last question. The Eagles revealed their new Kelly Green jerseys on Sunday, and they'll be worn against Miami on October 22nd, Sunday night game, and against Buffalo on November 26th. Ryan is the guy who's got 4 jerseys and numerous jerseys on the way. Give me your quick top 5 Kelly Green jersey power rankings.
Oh, jeez. Now, are we talking like new, current, or
All
just
the above.
time? I mean, okay. Well, number 1 has to be Reggie. I mean, you can't not get Reggie in there. I'll go 2 Cunningham, 3 Jerome Brown,
Nice.
4. Oh man. Oh man. 4. I'm gonna say Seth Joyner.
Ooh.
Obviously, I'm a big linebacker guy. And for number 5, oh man. I mean, basically, we're talking like. Are we just talking like 90s style like Eagles? Or are we talking
like it could be
well, I have to put Bednarik on there. I can't put a less without him on there. He should be higher, but whatever. He's still on the list.
All right. I'm going to give you the best 5 current players because I'm not old enough to remember the original Kelly Greens. So, number 1, obviously, has got to be Jalen Hurts. Get the number 1. It all works. QB1. Number 2 is going to be Jason Kelsey. Dude's just an absolute legend. Number 3, probably go with Fletcher Cox. Got to show some love to a defensive player here. Number 4, going to go Lane Johnson.
Nice.
Love Lane, Oklahoma guy. And then number 5 will go Devonta Smith. I'm going Devonta Smith over AJ Brown. I'd rather. I want to get me the last time I bought a jersey. I alluded to this earlier. It had an 11 on it, and it didn't end well. So, Devonta Smith's number 5.
When we look back at this 12 months from now, and we put this public, and Jalen Carter has like 10 sacks, like the most since Aaron Donald, we're gonna tweet at him about that.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm not a current player's jersey guy. I never have been.
I guess
I'm just not. So for me, number 5 is Brian Westbrook. He's always been one of my favorite players, man. Number 4, Jeremiah Trotter. I am shocked, Ryan, you had Joyner over Trot.
Well, theoretically, I was told to go Kelly Green, and Trot never wore the Kelly Green. So.
Oh no. So all right. So
and neither did Westbrook technically either. But I'm just saying.
Wait. So in my head, like I have
just go with best jersey.
Kelly Green jerseys. They're like now going to make them for like everybody. That's kind of in my head.
Oh. Well, then basically you're just asking what my top 5 jerseys are. Yeah, that's a different list, man.
Then Reggie White, then Doc, then Randall. So that's what's my.
Yeah, I was gonna say I could not have my list without Dawkins on it. I mean, geez, I have 3 or 4 Dawkins jerseys alone. I literally got Hurts. I got Kelsey. I got Landon Dickerson. I got my son a Hurts for the new Kelly Green. So I think I'm up to about 85 Eagles jerseys right now. Still got a couple more numbers to complete before my 0 to 99 is done. So working on it.
Current player wise, it's if there was like a power rankings for me, it would be Lane Johnson and Jason Kelsey are like 1A, 1B. Then it's as much as you guys know, like I'm telling you, if we're like a quarter of the way into next season, he's going to throw my entire philosophy out the window. Jalen Carter is the guy that will make me get a Jalen Carter jersey and then change everything. So sorry, David.
All right, David, how about you?
I didn't understand the question, whether it was asking for current or
I think we all gave a different answer anyway.
So I did a list of both. I'll be quick. Current, I did Jalen Hurts, Jason Kelsey, Lane Johnson, Jalen Carter, and Brandon Graham.
Yeah.
For the throwbacks, I did Reggie, Randall, Jerome Brown, Seth Joyner, and Eric Allen, who I think is the greatest corner in Eagles history.
I was thinking of throwing him on my list. I have myself a Kelly Green Eric Allen jersey as well. I love rocking that to tailgates.
My daughter had her birthday party at Hershey Park on Monday, and I'm not gonna lie, I totally forgot about the Eagles jerseys, and we're literally driving to Hershey. I already have a Kelly Green Randall jersey. I'm just literally, my thought was like, fuck it, I'll just wait till like November, December, and just get one then. I was like, because I literally wear that jersey everywhere. My Randall jersey is like my favorite jersey, period, ever, period.
All right, let's roll on to our last question here. We got today's Eagle fun fact. If Brandon Graham, Fletcher Cox, and Jason Kelsey all remain healthy for the 2023 season, each of them will break David Akers' record for games played as an Eagle. How would you rank those three guys in terms of impact? So it's Brandon Graham, who needs 11 games, Fletcher Cox, who needs 16, and Jason Kelsey, who needs 13. I'm up first for this one. So number one for me is Jason Kelsey. Dude's played at an elite level, nearly his whole career, 139 consecutive regular season starts. He's not only a wizard in the running game, he's cerebral, setting his pass protections and things, and he's an Iron Man. He doesn't miss games, and that's so important in the middle of your offensive line. So Kelsey is one for me. Fletcher Cox is two for me. 65 career sacks from the defensive tackle position is huge. Brandon Graham's got him at 70 sacks, but Graham rushes from the edge and he's got 2 more seasons. So, and that's not to underscore Brandon Graham, who is a career Eagle, one of my favorite guys to listen to talk. He got a slow start to his career, and obviously he's got the monumental moment of strip sacking Tom Brady in the Super Bowl, but he's got to come in third on that list for me. So I go Kelsey 1, Cox 2, Graham 3.
Yeah, just straight chalk for me. I'm the same, Shane. Kelsey, for a period of time, the dude has been the best of the best at his position. I was there at the Super Bowl victory parade, having drinks with my boys right there when he was doing his speech. I'll never forget that. Number one. Number two, like, gotta give Fletcher Cox some love. I don't think I hope he doesn't go the route of like a Ryan Howard, and I don't think he will. But you said it, Shane. 65 sacks. That's the second most since 2012. Number one is Aaron Donald. Like, that's pretty freaking amazing. And then number 3 is Brandon Graham, who is an Eagles legend. This is a great trio. So that's my 3.
Okay, David, what about you?
I'm in the same order. Kelsey, everything y'all said. Cox second. I will do a little aside. In 2013, I was at a Dallas Eagles game, and I had the misfortune of sitting next to a Dallas fan who was also a porn star.
Oh, that was going to go hand in hand.
Yeah. So when Fletcher was announced, when they used to name all the players as they came out of the tunnel, she looked over and says that Fletcher's the only Cox she's ever been afraid of her whole life. So that was a wild story. Huh?
Was it Debbie?
I have no idea.
My God, I would have Googled right away.
Yeah.
No, anybody know that there's literally like a porno like called Debbie
Dallas.
Yeah, I have no idea.
I got the reference.
But in 2013, I was surprised I was even fed by an opposing fan.
Oh my God.
And then I hate that BG's third on the list because he made the greatest play in recent Eagles history, but on that list, he's third for the same reason Shane said, started off slow, etc. But what a great trio. I mean, you couldn't name 3 better guys, man. I mean, it's unbelievable.
And how much we rave about BG, like this guy was killed during the draft. Like,
oh, yeah.
Never forget that. And I was one of them. I was one. Earl Thomas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
And he's such a
he was playing the wrong position at the start of his career.
True.
That was
such a great
Chip,
guy.
right? Was that no? That was before Chip. I can't
Somebody
remember.
says, who's Debbie?
Wow. People have a lot of Googling to do tonight.
No, you don't want to do that.
Yeah.
I was-
Make sure you're by yourself.
I'm just so glad that Brandon Graham finally got his double-digit sack season. He was on pace at one point in 2021 and fell off at the end of the year, and I'm so glad he finally cracked that and got 11 sacks last season.
A lesser guy would have been destroyed. His personality saved him completely early on, because this city would have eat him up like it has everybody else, and he persevered through all that, which is a big testament to his character, because he's just a great person.
Yep.
All right, Ryan, tell us why we're all wrong and you've got a different list.
So, before I give you my list, I want to know where Lane Johnson is, how far back he is, because the core four there should stick together. Listen, it has to be this order. Kelsey is so polarizing. I mean, think about it. He plays a position where you ask an average fan, they're probably not going to be able to name you another center in the NFL. Even a good fan, a fan of the NFL, will probably only be able to name you about two or three. It's a position. It's a nameless position. It really is. People come and go. There's not a lot of centers in the Hall of Fame. There's not a lot of popular centers out there, but Jason Kelsey has absolutely done that. He has made himself a national name, and he's beloved in Philadelphia. He doesn't have to go a single from the shore to Lancaster and all the way in between. He can go anywhere he wants. He can get free drinks. Everybody will be buying for the rest of his absolute life. So he's number one. And Fletch has got to get some love on this. He's been hated a little bit recently. But man, he was an all-pro for early on in his career. He came in and he just absolutely lit up our defense. Listen, I'm glad he's still on our team, and I'm glad he's still giving an impact. And listen, BG may have had the greatest play in Eagles history, or recent history, or whatever you want to say. But he did start slow. He wasn't used properly. He didn't, live up to expectations. Everybody wanted Earl Thomas. I mean, hell, I literally was, when I was watching that draft, I'll remember it for the rest of my life. I was literally on NFLshop.com with my boy Eric, who I do another show. He was ready to order the Earl Thomas jersey before the pick even came in. He was so pumped about it. So listen, he started off bad. But man, look at him. He's certainly turned it around, and now he's a fan favorite. And it's, again, like David said, his personality has persevered him through the ups and the downs of this awful and hardcore fan base. And he's living proof, man. He's living proof. You just do it with a smile, you get through it, man.
So, a couple of things. I don't know if you were asking how many games back Lane Johnson is,
or
like how far
where he is on this list, because again, I assume since
he's played 127 games as an Eagle, so he would need to play 61 more games to break that. So
he's missed a lot of. He
had the suspension, he had had injuries and things, but
forgetting all that.
If he was on that list, he is slam dunk number one. No debate. There's no debate about it.
I don't think it's even close. I don't think it's
so, he's been a rock solid, man. Everybody. He's the type of guy that you literally, everybody knows the stats of like how we are when we don't have Lane Johnson. Yep. Eagles are blah 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 when we don't have Lane Johnson. It's just one of those stats you can just pull out and just know.
10 and 22.
Yeah, he's not in the game. We're not winning.
The other one is, you said people can't name very many centers, maybe like two or three.
Yeah.
I think I could name more center. I think I could name the center for more teams in the NFL than I couldn't name.
Do you want to do a center off?
What? Let's
out.
Around the horn. Let's go.
Yeah, let's keep going until somebody misses. Last person standing. Let's go.
So there's your show
idea. Michael Schmitz, and I'm out.
I'm trying to think. As I'm thinking through it, though, I'm trying to think. I'm not sure who Washington's center is. They drafted Ricky Stromberg, but I don't think that's their. No,
he's a center. He's a center.
Yeah, but I don't think that's like their starter. Tyler Biotish for the Cowboys, obviously Kelsey. Who do they have?
Who is it? That's a good question.
I don't even know.
Nick Gates.
Nick
Gates. He's a center for. the Commanders. Anyways, I'm a huge offensive line nerd, so
Yeah,
I would take you up on that challenge.
Listen, we'll go until we can't. We'll go until we got to start naming like free agents and stuff. So I'm ready to go.
All right. Well, Dibes is shaking his head no, so maybe we won't have a center off here, but that is going to about wrap it up
Next
for
week.
this
No.
episodes of Birds of the Roundtable. I meant to shout this out at the top, and I did not. But check out the top right-hand corner there, our new logo. Al designed that for us from
Ow.
Edge of Philly Sports. Ryan's pointing the wrong direction, but
Wait, no, I'm not. I'm pointing the right direction.
not on my screen. You must have your camera mirrored or something.
Do I?
It looks right to you. It looks wrong to us.
Oh, well, maybe it is. Who knows? I'll have to rewatch it and see how it looks. But I swear to God, I'm pointing in the right direction.
But anyways, the new Birds of the Roundtable logo, Al did an awesome job on that. So shout out to Al. Thanks for doing that for us. That is going to wrap it up for this episode. We will be back next week. I think we're moving to Tuesdays now. I think that was what we decided. So we did Tuesdays last year during the season. Gives us a little more time, for me at least. It gave me time for all 22 to come out because it's often unavailable on Mondays. So I could watch a lot of that before I came on the show. So we're going to go ahead and ramp back up towards our season stuff and get our shows back to Tuesday night. So we will be back next Tuesday at 8 o'clock. The time's staying the same, just shifting back to Tuesdays to talk about whatever Dibes comes up with, I'm sure. So, so we'll throw it around the horn here. Let you guys fire off any last second takes, final thoughts. Dibes, the floor is yours first.
I just had my part 2 and 3 of my Under the Radar Prospect series drop literally before this show. So go check that out if you love some 2024 NFL draft content. Me and my man Ryan down there have been killing it. We're at so many prospects now. Very excited for college football season to start. We're about a month away, which is nuts because I feel like that grind hasn't stopped. It really hasn't. We're leaps and bounds ahead of where we were at this point compared to last year. So if you love yourself some NFL draft content, go check that out. Covered every position, top 10s in every Power 5 conference. Right now, I'm going to be messaging Ryan because I have a list of non-Power 5, top 10 non-Power 5 players I want to look into before the start of this college football season. And then once college football season starts, we'll be breaking down top matchups to watch among the top prospects. Basically, best games of the week type of show, but more so prospect focused. Like, this wide receiver versus this corner, this guard versus this defensive tackle, this offensive tackle versus this edge rusher. Like the best of the best and the best matchups. So be on the lookout for that.
All right. Yeah. If you are not checking out Dibes and Ryan's draft work, do yourself a favor. Go check it out. They will have you 100% prepared. You could walk into a war room and start making these picks for teams next offseason. That's how good their stuff is. So, all right, Ryan, the floor is yours. Plug your stuff. What do you got going on?
Just to say, some of those teams probably could use some help anyway. But yeah, man, like I've said, man, we are continuing our 2024 draft coverage already. I cannot wait for the college football season to start. Just talking about matchups and talking about top 25 guys and some of these big quarterback names and names that we've already been talking about, seeing them finally in action this year. It's going to be awesome. So I cannot wait for that. But yeah, make sure you are following us over at Philly Sports Alliance. We're about to ramp back up the Football Smack Talk show. We took a little time off there, but now that the season's about to roll in, we're going to start ramping up as well. So check us out: Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. Twitter handle is right down there. I hope I'm pointing in the right direction now that you have me all self-conscious. But yeah, man, we're just kind of having fun talking sports, and yeah, man, just give a like, follow, share, and all that good stuff. Put on the automatic notifications. That way, especially on Facebook, you'll get all of the Philly Sports Alliance shows, but you'll also get all of the Edge of Philly Sports shows as well, because we like to share our shows on each other's networks. So Do it up.
All right, David, you are up. The floor is yours. Plug your stuff. Any final thoughts? The floor is yours.
I don't have anything to plug right now. Working on a couple pieces. Hopefully something will be coming out next week, but I would just reiterate to go check out Dobbs and Ryan's draft work. I am working on one piece about a guy in next year's draft, but since he's a running back, there's probably a 0 chance that the Eagles will take him. It's Travion Henderson.
Oh,
Beast.
yeah.
Number one.
Number one, yeah.
Me as well. He lives very close to me. I've seen him play since he was 12, 13 years old.
Nice.
So I'm trying to compile all the information, but I'll probably have something out. I don't know when I'll release it, but closer when it's more relevant, somebody will actually read it. But but until then, yeah, I would say go watch Ryan and Dobbs and the work that Shane's doing as well. But I don't have anything else.
The greatest moment of last week was when David announced that he's a Senior Bowl guy. And I was so, I'm not lying, man. I got goosebumps.
You got to come down there with me. This
I might have to, bro.
Oh my God. That's like the ultimate dream.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you guys for joining us for this episode of Birds of the Roundtable. You can check us all out on Twitter. Our handles are here. David is at PHL Eagle News. I am at Shane Half NFL. Ryan is at Philly Sports PSA, pointing all the wrong directions again. If you just keep spinning, you eventually point the right way and we can freeze frame it. And then Dibes on Twitter at Mr. Crockpot. So thank you guys for tuning in. We will catch you guys next Tuesday at 8 o'clock to break down whatever Eagles topics we're able to come up with. So until then, go Birds.
Go Birds.
Birds.